This was the year that began the annual tradition of Stonebank being the first release of the year, and with how iconic this song has become in Monstercat's history, it's not hard to understand why. Remember Run Funk from the 2012 video? Yeah. This was never my favorite song from Solero, but it was the one that introduced me to Solero, so it holds a special place in my heart. That, and it's actually not a bad track. This remix package would unfortunately be the last time we ever saw Astronaut on the label, which sucks, but with this remix being the release upload, it was a hell of a remix to end off on. This one is also super dope and highly underrated, might I add. Better than his baseline kickin' remix, that's for sure. Volant does their best AU5 impression. I don't know what Draper was going through when he put this song together, but fuck, dude. This song probably has one of my favorite EDM buildups of all time, and I don't just give that out like candy. Back during a point in time where Excision was the biggest name you can get on your label. Look at us now, we got fucking Steve Aoki. Rich Edwards deserved more love. Even if I think this is probably the weakest song he's had on the label, he still deserved more love on Monstercat overall. I will never not be impressed with Haywire's ability to just be cool. With how well they worked together on the song, I'm genuinely surprised they never went for a round 2. I don't know if I ever mentioned this before, but this is the previous alias of current hypertrance artist Newfree, who came back last year with that one song. I gotta tell you though, their stuff under Volant was honestly really awesome back then, and I still rep it to this day. I hate to be that guy again, but this would have been perfect for a Halloween song. For reference, we just started the February releases. Puppet had every right to ride the success wave throughout the year, this song just being the start of that. Unfortunately, I can't find a good joke for this one. Hey look, I've never seen these two on a song before, isn't that crazy? Okay, look, Teddy Killers have come a long way, and not everybody's road leaves the best tracks behind. There's that weird yellow again. Just so many jokes I could make, but I genuinely can't pick one, so here's your guys' free space for the video, I guess. People don't really love this one. That's all I'm gonna say. Unfortunately for him,
I am Melon Lord!
I find it interesting that Openwater showed up on 3 separate Monstercat songs in 2015, but honestly, every appearance he did make was worth it. There's 2 very specific reasons why I love this song. Yes, one of them is a Laura Brim, but the other reason is that this is a very calm, chilled out version of the following track, which is mainly comprised of vocal chops from Beautiful. I love both songs, but this one is my absolute favorite of the 2. May I present to you the invention of Kitchen Step? Kicking off Eminence's Universe EP, a surprisingly ambient piece from the duo? Okay, yeah, this one makes more sense. Not the kind of sound I would expect from them, but also not one I'm against. So for some reason they did a handful of these numerical titles in some of their songs, as you'll see later on in the series, and to this day I have never understood it. This one's pretty, me likey. This is the song you got crazy to when you were younger, and this is the song you get crazy to now that you're older. I've spent way too much time trying to perfectly describe what this song does to me, just to say I literally cannot. All you need to know is that this is, and always will be, my favorite song in all of Monstercat, and potentially my favorite song of all time, ever. Doesn't exactly help that this was the last 7 Minutes Dead song on the label for the next 4 years either, so I mean, I could go on a whole speech with the song, but we're not even out of February yet, so let's just keep going. These two are just one of those PB&J collaborations that old Monstercat fans just absolutely love, including myself. This dude made it impossible for me to call this song fire without making me sound like I'm memeing. Man, I feel sorry for newer Monstercat fans that never got to experience Karma Fields during this time. Everything they put out during this time was truly ahead of its time. And the song immediately after is meant to sound more retro, but hey, I ain't complaining. This was the very last collab we ever got of these two, and honestly, it might be my favorite of the 3. The amount of aura this song has is otherworldly. I always liked this collab more than Better World. This song needs to be the new TikTok trend of telling a successful dad joke. Another one of the many iconic releases from 2015 that still hit to this day. Not that I absolutely loved to record stuff back in the day, but it was not hard to see why people called him the Trap King at the time. Easily the best remix, it doesn't even come close. I mean, it's kind of a cool remix. Definitely has more of an old school vibe than I remember it having. Something about the song just makes me feel good, man. Like it's a warm hug in the form of a song. Smooth. Nothing out of this world, but it's very pretty. I both love and hate how straightforward this title is. The Entity. It's behind you. You have people that prefer Scribble, but man, this just hits so much harder for me. I won't lie, I kinda miss this era of Fool's music. A based James Bond would put this on full blast. Not as strong as Find That Someone, but it still hits in a very specific way. The Volant remix clears this. I'm sorry, but it just does. Underrated bop and a half. This came out before the drop of Grabitz's Friends EP, and in the strangest twist of irony, this is the only track I still, to this day, cannot get into. Fun fact, this actually used to be Mike Darlington's favorite Monstercat song for quite some time. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what his new favorite is. The debut of Savoy on Monstercat, and oh hey look, the Turbo Penguin guy. Hellberg's This Is Me EP wasn't the most popular release from this era, but it was hard to top an EP that had The Girl on it. As the release upload for this EP, I actually kinda liked it. This was the EP's underdog song. Meh. The return of Protostar, who just casually drops one of the coolest sounding songs of that year. This has no right being as epic as it is. Listen, not all of us can be masters at melodic dubstep, and there's nothing wrong with that. Despite being classified as synthwave, this sounds almost nothing like his current synthwave style, and I think that just goes to show how far he's come as an artist. Hyper Potions remix clears. So don't worry, we'll get there later on. This EP has to be one of my all-time favorites on the label, and despite this intro being a bit short, it does a lot with very little. This is how you do a transition. One thing I love about Grabitz just in general is just how emotional his music can get, this being a great example of that. Contextually, one of the most depressing songs on the label. So remember the Sushi Killer and Kevin Vallejo collab from the 2014 video? I mean, here's a alias that doesn't feel like nearly as much of a mouthful. The strange and somewhat brief return of Project 46, at least for another year or so. Something about this song just hits differently, even compared to Minty. San Holo's debut Monstercat release. What better day to drop it than May the 4th? This slaps, but like, it's a thick slapper. Bustre's final Monstercat release before disappearing from the label, which honestly makes this track just hit that much harder. I think this was the first Trivecta song that genuinely blew my mind. The fact that this song never made the Best for 2015 comp is borderline criminal. This goes harder than Sentinel, changed my mind. I will never not love this remix. 2015 had a lot of beautiful songs, and my opinion on that is not changing anytime soon. Loved this one as a kid, but has grown off me quite a bit nowadays. I still think this is the most creative air-record song he's ever made. Stephen Walking's 2015 run was just absolute peak, and you cannot tell me otherwise. Another unexpected collab, but a strong one. This song and the music video made no damn sense to me as a kid. Now it's just the music video. Get ready to fill up that book of underrated bangers, cause this year is just full of them. Kicking off the Build the Cities remixes, or, sorry, reconstructions, this was an amazing spin on the original track. Tristan not only adding his own vocals, but also him reciting lines from the original was just perfection. This sounds almost as unique as Karma Fields themselves. Yes, AC Slater was technically on Monstercat before the Kirby collab, and to be honest, it still bangs. The original, but with a classic future-based twist. An incredible follow-up to Stronger that even got an official 8-bit version in 2023. Who would have thought? The debut of Slips and Slurs, or as most people know him nowadays, Slippy. A really great lead single for a really great EP that we'll get to in just a minute. If Crossroad taught anyone anything, it's that AU5 and Danica Nadeau work way too well together. The debut of Subtact, and despite not getting a ton of his work over the years, that didn't stop him from dropping some iconic bangers. Shout out to Florida, Diet Buzzkill. The debut of Deon Custom, and out of the 3 songs he dropped during this time on the label, this is easily my favorite. One of my strangest memories I have of 2015 Monstercat is how late this specific song dropped during the day. Like normally the YouTube upload would go up in the morning, somewhere around like 10, 11 a.m. But for some reason this video didn't drop until like 7, 8 at night. Laszlo D&B is not something you see often, but it hits quite nicely. The transition end of the drop still gets me to this day. Synthwave Laszlo also hits quite different. Truly one of the most beautiful Monstercat songs during this era of the label. I still run it in 2025. A fan favorite from a fan favorite. Muzzy's idea at a Get Crazy VIP was somehow less crazy than the original Get Crazy. That's pretty crazy. Hey, I recognize that silver nitrate anywhere. The amount of attention this song got was actually crazy. Not that it didn't deserve it, but damn. The amount of attention this remix got was also crazy, but, you know, in the opposite sense. You know, after some thought, I think Monstercat's really missing out on the depressing banger demographic that 2015 so expertly crafted. The song is literally someone with aphasia trying to sing. I will say, 2015 had a really interesting habit of release the saddest song of your life, with the next release being the happiest thing you've ever heard. Diet the Covenant. And Another cutesy future bass track, but iconic in its own way. Oh damn, what's going on with this astronaut dude? It's a girl! I'm sorry, but the original clears all these remixes, it's not even close. I'm sorry, but the original clears all these remixes, it's not even close. I'm sorry, but the original clears all- I'm sorry. Unexpected collabs that ended up going hard, this one will surprise you. The beginning of World's indie dance era, and also the lead single to his Chase It EP, which is just yet another set of bangers, with a solid title track to back it up nonetheless. Rootkit diving more into his deep house style that he went with for a while. Not that it was my favorite sound of his, but I like this one. Another instance of, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but this is a bop. Bit of an odd release considering we're used to seeing his name as a vocal feature, but hey, it's not bad. Weirdly enough, this was the only Grant Bowtie song I wasn't really into that much, which was really unfortunate at the time since this was the last time we would see him under Grant Bowtie. There are very few tracks during the older Monstercat days that I consider smooth, but this is one of them. Not gonna lie, a bit underwhelming considering this was a collab between the two biggest D&B titans at the time. It's insane how much people love this one. Kicking off the Ancient and Arcane album from Varian. Well, the Ancient and Arcane. Not much going on throughout, but much like everything else on this album, it's just vibey as hell. What in the spooky scary skeletons am I hearing? As cool as unique as this sounds, it's just one I never really clicked with fully. You know, if you had more than one, I'm sure Owl City wouldn't mind having a word with you. Shit got me feeling spiritual. Laura Brem, need I say more? The second song from Casbo on Monstercat. I can't wait to... What's that? Oh, that's it. This is the last one? Well, alright, fuck me, I guess. Yet another collab that made no sense on paper, but turned out to be really cool. This was one hell of a follow-up to Evaporate. Kind of upset we never saw Paranoid on the label again after this song. Whenever I see Jaws, it's hard not to think about his Baby Shark remix. Yes, that is a real thing, and it's even on Spotify. Probably their least popular collab, but I still like it. Listen, I love World's future bass as much as anyone else, but the groove on this song has me going for days. This whole EP from World was fantastic. This song specifically is legit one of the best songs he's ever made, in my opinion. Have you tried going to a doctor about that? I forgot to mention the fact that this is actually the newfound alias of .exe. And to see him going from stuff like Battle Cry and Inside Out to stuff like this was different, to say the least. This music video still gives me goosebumps to this day. Takes the original and turns it into something that goes down smoother than a glass of water at 3 a.m. My least favorite of Deon Custom's trilogy of singles here. The original but deep house. The original but tropical house. What'd I say earlier? What did I tell you? God, even AU5 had some of his best material in 2015. The name I almost gave this series. My birthday release. And a damn good one at that. Whenever I think of this song, I think of this music video and the total whiplash I get every time I realize the Crave music video was released 2 weeks prior. Nothing super special about this music video, but I mean, it's gonna be a banger. I'm honestly amazed at how much I think this is, and I just forgot what it sounded like. Listen, not that this doesn't deserve the praise, but I think it gets praised for the wrong reason. I mean, guys, she's right there! I can't tell people I like this song without sounding like an old man who enjoys elevator music. There's your golden boy, folks. Praise him quick before he disappears for another 9 years. The first and only single we got of Fractal's Gaia album, and I gotta tell you, this was indeed a Fractal song. An odd take on the original, but not bad I suppose. I'm gonna prefer the original over all these remixes, but this one put up a solid effort. I already made a joke about their name last time I talked about this remix, so I'll leave this one empty. I can't even begin to tell you what this remix was doing. Peak, 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 peak. Bow, ba ba da ba da da, ba ba da 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 ba. I'm sorry, this goes stupid hard. Random collabs that worked for some reason, number 379. Caught in a crossfire. Oh wait, shit, wrong song. Weird that this one was never a single. Man. It's weird that in a sea of Fractal songs that I find mostly forgettable, this ends up being one of my favorites from him. Live footage of a song telling me to escape halfway through its album tracklist. A good chunk of the songs on here are way more atmospheric than the single would lead you to believe. This one's kinda cool. Nope, you can't have that one. Karma Field's already made my favorite Skyline of 2015. The closing track too. An album I wish I liked more. Even back then, I thought these vocal chops were kinda goofy. Am I the only one who never remembers what the song sounds like unless I hear it? It do be an intro, though. Me describing the amount of love this dude got last year. Despite its length, I like the vibe that the guitar brings here. Yes, Mango was on Monstercat way before Monstercat Silk was a thing. Took me a while to adjust to that bit of information too, don't worry. 3 minutes of ambient noise. I'm totally staying awake for the entire duration. Probably one of the most underrated bangers from this album, and that's really saying something considering how talked about this record is to this day. I can't believe they added the robot from Overwatch on Monstercat. Pretty ambitious move to try and quantify space, but pop off, King. Banger material. Nothing else to say about it. The D&B one. World, is that you? You're never not gonna hear me gush over Laura Bram's vocals any chance I get. Don't let the name take away from the fact that this actually kinda slaps. If the original Skyline was Karma Fields, this version is the quickest way to harm me. Given this was the last time we'd ever see Deon custom on the label, ironic title is ironic. This song, along with the rest of this EP, was actually an effort to not only spread awareness, but also raise funds to fight against breast cancer. And even without all that, this is genuinely one of their best songs they've ever made. They even made a game out of it that I remember playing on my phone back in the day, and it was just so awesome that they did that. How come I always remember what Jonny's vocals sound like on the song, but not the actual song itself? One of the stranger VIPs that exists on Monstercat, that's for sure. This one was cool, but this B-side clears it no questions asked. One of the more overlooked songs from both names here. Takes the original and gives it more of an euphoric atmosphere. I like it. One Look was the song that got most people into Luther, but Dots was the one that did it for me. I always liked this one growing up. This is one of those Monstercat songs that I respect more than I genuinely enjoy. Xylan's Monstercat debut, and wouldn't you know it, we're about 4 years away from his Monstercat album, so this will have to do in the meantime. This is the last time we would see these two collab ever again on the label, and it might be my favorite set of songs they've worked on together. Both this song and Ison are criminally underrated, but this one especially is just like, ugh. A valiant effort, but not one that I think a lot of people liked. For what it's worth, I don't hate this. Given that the rest of the remixes were some form of trap and this was glitch hop, I'll let you take a wild guess as to why it won the remix competition. Everyone seems to forget Grabbit's had a remix on here, and even though it's not half bad, it's not hard to understand why people forgot about it. Out of all the trap remixes, this one somehow feels the trappiest. Hey look guys, it's another trap remix. I haven't seen one of those in a while. Speaking of Grabbit's, the first single to his first Monstercat album, even though I don't think he considers it an album anymore, but regardless, it's a banger tune. I always used to read this guy's name as Charlie Tuna and not Chally, so whenever I read his name, this would be the first thing that comes to mind. What's this about a laser beam? Okay, unironically, one of the most satisfying drops this motherfucker's ever made. Again, what is it with these random ass collabs and how good they turn out? On a more unfortunate note, this would be the last time we would see Televisor on Monstercat, and man, things have not been the same since. Also, as a side note, one of Danica Nadeau's best vocal performances, the way she sings on the song, you can tell she gave it her all. I never understood this one, to be honest. Yet another banger from the Bank Man.
I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this was Stonebank's first EP on the label, and it holds up surprisingly well. Except this one. I was never really into this one. With the bass so low and the mix so sick. This is like if an EDM song had a fever dream. Basically the same song, but jump up D&B. Also, what's up, Modestep? I like half the songs on this EP and not so much the other half. Unfortunately, this falls under the latter. This one's alright, but I remember it mostly because of the drops and literally nothing else. Repetitive, but kind of underrated in a way. I mean, it does show up on Monstercat's Best of Dubstep 2016 mix, even though it was never featured on the main channel, so make of that what you will. Basically Monstercat's version of My Hope Will Never Die. You know, for a track that was released in December, the title and artwork really seemed like they were pushing for Valentine's Day. I often wonder if this music video inspired Sony to make the Emoji Movie. If there's one thing that's consistent with nearly every single Grabbit's project, it's how beautiful these intros are. The release single, as well as the title track of the album, and I mean, it's Grabbit's, what else do you want me to say other than it slaps? There's a couple of super underrated songs from this record that kind of went unnoticed, and you bet your ass this is one of them. Not a ton going on here, but a solid transition into this slapper right here. Used to love this one as a kid, but has since grown off of me considering what he would go on to make later in life. You know I'm a sucker for duets, and this does not disappoint in that regard at all. The first single to Tut Tut Child's debut Monstercat record, and if you don't hear any vocals on here, that's because Jim Davies is the one responsible on guitar throughout the song. And it's a pretty nice sounding guitar. One of my favorite things about these live performances of his are the differences between the video and the actual studio version of the song. And although I do prefer the studio version over the live performance here, it's still a great track all around. I can't begin to explain to you why I didn't vibe with this one compared to most Laszlo tracks. This is the first single off of their mid-2016 EP that we'll get to next year, but just know that they're taking a surprising turn into tropical house during this time. I really wanted to make a pun out of this one, but it just kind of drove away from me. Whenever Christmas rolls around, this is one of the few songs that I immediately think of, and if that's not a testament to how good the song is, then I really don't know what is. Maybe not one of his more memorable songs, but I mean, come on, it's Tristan. Probably the weakest Stephen Hawking song we got in 2015, but that second drop still goes pretty hard. Again, with the weird fucking collabs. This would be the last time we'd see Case in Point on the label until the 10-year anniversary comp, and I gotta be honest, this isn't too bad of a final track. Quite possibly, to this day, one of the most chill songs he's ever made, and man, that is saying a lot. Definitely one of my favorites from this era of Rootkid's career. Now this is how you end a year of Monstercat. There has never been a better final track to any other Monstercat year other than this one. I will stand on this hill until I die. What a beautiful track all around. Alright, 2016. Here I come.